is probably a pretty obvious question, but Rick Rubin being obviously as legendary as he is this someone that you guys sort of had in mind for a while, someone that you've been wanting to work with, over the course of the band's existence?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say for a long time. I mean, I don't know, it's almost a joke, probably, somewhat in the industry. I mean, everyone kind of wants to work with Rick Rubin, and I think it's, even though it's kind of thrown around in, I don't know, record label, meetings all the time, and it's kind of, probably like, made fun of on some level. I think it's there for a reason, and I think as, musicians, regardless of, jokes aside, I think we always did want to work with him. And I didn't hesitate. I mean, when he was down, I mean, he sequenced Phrases for the Young, and I've kind of met him and talked to him here and there. And Jason, who engineered, he produced, I guess, he produced Phrases for the Young. He engineered this record. He's worked with Rick. He's very close with Rick. So, I don't know. It's been a dream, I guess, for a while, but didn't know what to expect, but it was great. And I think we all we're hoping to maybe, dig in and work again now that the kind of, barriers or, I don't know, polite kind of, the kind of the politeness and the carefulness you have when you kind of meet and work with new people. I think, we could probably kind of dig into other deeper levels now.
And what would you say for this new LP and kind of where the band was at that point when making the record kind of changed conditionally that allowed for that opportunity to finally be able to work with Rick and do a record with him?
Sorry, what do you mean? Like why or what conditions?
Yeah. I mean, if it's something that you guys have been sort of like, hoping to do for a while, like what was it about this album and this situation that kind of created the opportunity?
I think he just liked the song. I think he just liked the demos. I mean, I think because we'd send him stuff before, and I think we kind of joked with him, and I think he's too polite to say it, or not polite, but. Yeah, I think he just connected to the songs, I think. Felt like we were ready, he probably meditated and saw that we were ready to embrace his wisdom. I don't know. Well, it was up to him, is my point.
Well, I guess speaking of that, like, was there, I don't know, I mean, how would you say, because you guys have made so many records already, like how exactly did throwing Rick into the mix change the process, or what kinds of ideas was he bringing to the table that just kind of made this experience or the record itself radically different from anything you've done in the past?
Well, I mean, I'm okay. So I'm pretty, jaded, and I guess it takes kind of a lot, I guess, to impress, in the music world. I mean, I respect people and like working with people and have an open mind, but, to meet someone who's going to kind of like blow your mind on a musical level with how they like think and approach things is pretty rare for me. So I think it wasn't just the name that would have done it. I mean, I believed in him, or it's not like I doubted it, but you don't, until you see it, you don't, it wasn't like I just was drinking the Kool-Aid before I met him. As soon as we started talking, I just saw it was just kind of a simplicity, I think, in all things of it's, I think when you become so wise and you've tried so many combinations, I once asked him, I said, why are you so in tune with the universe? And he said, just because he's tried everything, and he's just, and it's kind of goes to all things that I've always believed in, like work ethic and all that, blah, blah, blah. But, I think it started with simple things. Like I wanted to record in the live room, and, cause I liked kind of, I'm talking to the band a lot, and sometimes I'm playing the guitar, and it's just easier to communicate and feel it. and I kind of wanted to set up my mic, and he was like, "Oh, set up in the live room, as in the vocal booth, And I kind of it's kind of like not like cheesy, but it's like just traditional like rock documentary or movie. You go in the vocal booth, and I used to kind of think that was cool, but whatever. I was not so into it, and but he was kind of just like, it's so dumb and simple and straightforward, but he was just like, well, if you do anything really cool, it's just isolated. And he could tell that I didn't want to go in the booth, but he was just kind of like forcefully like, just go in the fucking booth. And I think, and it just kind of clicked. I mean, he only had to ask me once, but I'm just saying there's been so many records where I do a random take that I like, and for the last 5 years, there's always drums and guitars in the mic, and it's always such a nightmare. So I was just thinking, of course, that's so simple. And so that's like the kind of simplest level you could say. Mm. He told us to jam every day. He wanted us to just play together a lot. Adults Are Talking probably came out of all the jamming. So that was, arguably one of the better songs on the record. Mm. He was very involved with arrangement. So I think, he's got a clear idea of kind of the flow of songs and the feeling of songs. Mm. And, he focused in on a couple of, Eternal Summer is probably the one that was the most impressive musically. When he really blew my mind the most, the melody that I sang on the verse, he just kind of, because I had basically jammed on the song and sang like 20 things, and he kind of, and I narrowed it down, I think, and then he just took like 2 melodies, and he was like, now put this part here, and he was building. As he was doing it, I was honestly thinking, where's he going with this one? This is like kind of the first time he was kind of like really digging in, and it turned out to be just such a cool melody, and I was blown away, and I was wondering, like, do you ever write songs? Why don't you write? And I just think he just kind of takes things and then puts them around, but he definitely has a very musical ear. It's like he doesn't get into the technical thing, but he's just like one level beyond it, very technical and knowledgeable. So he's not going to say like, EQ or whatever, but he'll just, it'll almost sound like layman's terms, but it's very insightful. And I don't know. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think it does. And I think it brings up some interesting characteristics of the record, too, the way that you're talking about some of these elements, because the arrangements of the record are really unique for any Strokes album. And what you're talking about with the jamming, too, seems pretty significant to the songwriting process as well, potentially, because a lot of these songs lengthwise are really spacious and packed with these elongated instrumental passages. I mean, would you say this process was kind of influencing all of that? Because the tracks, and in a good way, are not nearly as tight or straightforward as they've run on many previous Strokes records.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I think he's all about, I don't know, or at least with us or with this record, like the groove. We listen to a lot of we listen like Talking Heads things and, Rolling Stone, just kind of like those songs that have like a kind of rhythmical, just kind of like groove songs, I guess, like almost like we're just playing one chord. And I think he was gravitating to a lot of that stuff. He would just feel like something felt good. And then those kind of parts would I think we left the arrangement essentially to him. I mean, we did it together, but he would say like, I think it should happen 8 times. And
well, if considering the groove thing, a song that kind of sticks out in a unique way in that regard is At the Door, because of how stark and sort of stripped back that track is. Which I think also kind of plays into the simplicity that you were talking about earlier in terms of what you were doing with Rick. I mean, what exactly kind of drove that song to the point where I think musically and songwriting wise, it does resemble a lot of what you guys have done in the past, but as far as the instrumental arrangement, it's just so bare and it's just so simple. And I think it makes a lot of your vocals and what you're saying on the song so much more intense too.
Well, that song, I mean, that song probably had the strangest, because that was a song that Paul, he's you know, he's a friend, and he was, you know, I guess technically he was the guitar tech, and he was, and we would just, I was staying at the house. I was staying at Shangri-La. They had like a room there, and he was also staying in one of the rooms. And so we were just kind of there at night, late at night, and he was just, I think we were just jamming, or he was just playing, and it was basically, it's his song. He wrote that thing, or it was the acoustic, it was on a guitar. It sounds like a keyboard that you know, Nick is playing, but it's actually a guitar. One of those digital, what are those crazy things called? Digital guitars. But anyway, I thought it was going to be kind of like more than words, like extreme style, you know, like an acoustic guitar, and like but the sound, you know, Jason brought in his digital guitar, and then yeah, we were trying to get, I really liked the verse, and we tried it with different parts, and we would show it to Rick, and he was like, no. And then finally a chorus came that I thought was good enough, and we put it together, and he was into it. And so we built that one. That was probably the least organic song, I think, on the record, because it was Rick, Paul wrote the verse, and I sang over it, and then I brought in the chorus, and then we just kind of, Nick came in and we recorded on the digital guitar, and I added all these random classical parts. Well, it was like secretly classical or whatever, but I don't know. That one was kind of a laboratory freak.
Would you say?
But I thought it was going to be like more than words from Extreme, and I don't know if it didn't really become that, to my chagrin.
Thank you very much for watching this interview clip over on TND Streams. To see the full interview, click on the video link next to my head or down below, or hit up the link to subscribe to the channel or see our Patreon page to support what we do and get some extra bonus monthly content in the process. Anthony Fantano, forever.